Welcome to another video. I hope you're doing all great. Yesterday I talked about what HEX is and how to stake it. In today's video I'm going to talk a little bit more about HEX staking. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks and helpful websites. And if you're new here, please check out these two videos up in here, how to buy HEX and what T-shares are. In general, you will find a lot of useful information and videos on my YouTube channel about HEX, Pulse Chain and PulseX. And of course, as always, don't forget to hit the subscriber button, hit the like button and leave a comment down below. And now let's not waste any more time, let's jump right into it. First, you can see my HEX wallet. Let's jump right on the tab stake where you can see what's going on. So yesterday we did a 5555 stake and a 10-year stake down here. You can see it's already earning nice yield every day, 30.97% in general. So that's maybe just a start. Maybe you just did two stakes, two really big stakes or one big stake, and then it's done for you. If you are continue like me to work on your CD ladder, on your complete system of your staking action, then I would suggest you plan maybe a little bit ahead. Some people like to stake for Christmas, some people like to stake for birthdays or whatever date. Just choose a date which fits you the best and which you're also comfortable with the staking length. This is really important. So you really don't want to click this red button in here. You really don't want to end your stake too early because you will get penalized. So there are two strategies. Either you just continue to throw out randomly some stakes or you have maybe a plan. I'm gonna show you today some sites where you can simulate some staking action before you do actually the stakes, so maybe this will support you in your decision process. The first website is stakehex.today. You can already visualize your active stakes in here just by pasting your Ethereum address in here, but first we're gonna have a quick look down here on the create test stake section. You can use this to estimate possible income from future stakes. Shares and rates are calculated based on the current HEX statistics. This is really important. It's based on the current HEX price, for example, which sits at 15 cents. So you can see here we can either choose a total amount in USD or a total amount in HEX and then go on from there. For the simplicity, I'm going to put in $1,000, which is at the moment roughly 6,470 HEX. And down here I can then define the number of stakes and the maximum days I would like to stake my HEX. So in this example, we are going with 5 stakes for 10 years, which are the equivalent to 3,650 days. Just to show you quickly, you get two bonuses. You get the longer pays better bonus and the bigger pays better bonus. So at the moment, our bonus sits at 2.2x and we should get around 671 billion shares. So what happens if we decide, for example, we would like to split up these $1,000 in 10 instead of 5 stakes. So let me just enter 10. You can see the bonus already went down a little bit. The bonus sits now at 2.1x. This is because you have now more stakes and you have to end them earlier. Instead, with only 5 stakes, they run longer and longer pays better. You can also see the same goes here with the shares. You have only 640 billion shares. So let's make the example with 5 stakes for 10 years and click view. You need to let it calculate a little bit and then you have all the information you need. So the system distributed automatically these 5 stakes, which gives you the total shares. Remember from the last video, shares are the magic sauce machine. This is what gives you the yield. This is what defines how much HEX you will get every day. If we scroll down a little bit, you have multiple options. First, on the overview tab, you can see HEX and US dollar. You can see how much principal, also how much HEX you were staking, and you will see over time the interests going up. You can then also see down here on the share section, how long is your average staking length. 6 years is a pretty solid value, and you will see over time if you would sell some. You could also see then how much you sold, how much you realized, and how much you still have unrealized. If we scroll back up, you can see also the current value, which is like visualizing your stakes. So we can then choose between years, month and stakes depending on how many stakes you have. Maybe it makes more sense just to see the yearly view, but because here we only have 5 stakes, let's go with the month and zoom out a little bit more. You can see now it distributed these 5 stakes on the April until every year. It starts next year and it's gonna end in the year 2032. But keep in mind, if you use like this strategy, always start with the staking on the right side. So this stake will start already today and will earn the longest time some yield, and then you work your way back to the near future so you have the most possible yield. If you have all the HEX available to throw on the timeline, you just throw the stakes out and let them yield forever. So that's basically what you can see here. You can then switch in between US dollar and HEX. You can see it distributed the total principal of 1,294 HEX in 5 stakes. In US dollars, you can then also see the estimated cost based on today's value. You would then see the ROI, the return of investment over time. But of course, this needs a little bit of time to then accumulate the information. And on this side, you can even go further. You can click the projected tab. You can see here the pink line represents the price. You can just drag and drop these price bubbles in here, and the gray line represents the HEX payout per T share or per B share, depending on how many shares you have. And you can just play around with this value. You see up in here, it's changing automatically. So let's just assume now HEX will dip even further down again because bottom was not in, and then we have a little bit a new all-time high, let's say with $1, and then we just keep on going like this forever. This would still give you a projected value of roughly $30,000 because the yield will continuously going on until March 2032. The second website is quite similar. You can go on hexcalc.net and you see some information. You see as well the current HEX price, you see the current T-share price and the current T-share rate, basically how much HEX you need for one T-share. But keep in mind, a T-share means a trillion share, the next level would be a billion share, and so on. So don't you worry, if you own some shares, you're good to go. If we scroll down a little bit, you can basically do the same in here. You can have either the HEX amount or the dollar amount. In this example, we go with 1,000 HEX, staking for 10 years again, and we're gonna click calculate. We have to scroll down a little bit and then we can see the staking details. So we would start our stake with 1,000 HEX. This time it's not distributed, it's just one single stake. We would start today. Once the day ticks over, this stake would end on March 30th in 2032 and has today a current value of $154. I was talking before about the bonuses which applies. You can see longer pays better, bigger pays better, which gives you then an effective HEX rate to calculate your T-shares. With this stake you would earn 141 billion shares. If you scroll a little bit more down, you see then the projected earnings, which are the interesting part. You see you put in your principals of $155. Over the next 10 years you will yield $563, which gives a total payout once the stake is ended in $718. This is only based on the current values, and your payout is not paid out in USD, your payout is in HEX, and then you can decide what you would like to do with your payout. You can also see the current APY sits at 36.49%, which is exactly what is advertised at the moment. So now let's go back to our wallet. We have already 2 stakes, so let's now project what we could do if once we have a staking ladder. For this we go to the third website, apphex.win. You see again some current statistics. HEX sits nicely around 15 cents again, which is wonderful. But for today's example, all we need is our Ethereum address from the MetaMask wallet. You can go and get it by clicking the account here, copy and click, paste it in the field in here and click the little button. It needs a little moment to load, and then you see 2 charts. You see the share history. You can see once again I was not staking on this test wallet for quite a while. Since December to now I was not staking in here, but now these charts continue. With the 2 stakes it will show me how much shares I own over the time. The second chart is down here, which visualize actually your stakes and your T-shares. By clicking down here you can then deactivating whatever you want. So for this example we only want to see the HEX stakes which I have so far, and let's just assume you continue now to make this CD ladder even more beautiful. So the next step, we are just planning some stakes. We're just gonna put in some stakes, like again, let's say we start always on the right side. We're gonna put in the same staking amount in here, and by the end, maybe over time, you have a nice steady ladder. You have some stakes on the timeline for the next 15 years. Let's just assume these are our stakes. And of course, over time, this stake will earn a little bit of yield. Longer pays better because as long as your stake is locked in, it will earn the same yield or even more for the time it is locked in. So let's just assume this pink color is your yield. And we have then by the end of a stake, the yield paid out and the principal. So you have now multiple options and nobody is telling you what to do with your money. So what we talked in the early days, you take your yield, which is then here basically the pink thing, and this is the only thing you are selling. So basically you are keeping here your principal, and you take your principal, you put it on the end of the staking ladder, and you build here your new stake, which then continuously yielding for another 15 years. Of course, if you have an emergency situation, maybe you take a little bit more, but this totally depends on you. A lot of people in the HEX community did in the first 2 years. They took all of this, the principal and the yield, and just staked it out for longer, only to maintain their T-shares they're owning. Because remember, T-shares define how much yield you get, so you want to have a lot of T-shares as possible. And with this system, you are never selling your principal because your principal is what gives you yield. So this is one strategy. Of course, you can just sell everything, but of course, this is totally up to you how you design your ladder. I just suggest you start on the right side of the ladder and then you continuously build up your stakes as you are buying some HEX and then stake it out for longer. And remember, it's all about delayed gratification, and on top of that you will earn some nice yield, which is even nicer. And with that, we are already by the end of this video for today. If you found any value, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel and drop a comment down below if you have any questions. And as always, stay long and fat, stay safe out there, and see you in the next one. Peace.